Hi, everyone. Just to give you a brief introduction, my name is Sierra Sambrowski. I am an intuitive medium and coach. I do all kinds of reading and coaching to help people and businesses. But one of my favorite and most accurate, best places to work with is in relationships with people. And so today I want to talk about a very current and real situation that's happening for many people. Their relationships are being challenged by this stay at home order or the stay in place order, whatever your state is calling it, being created by the COVID-19, right? And so I wanted to be able to talk to you about how we can help in this situation to not have your relationship be one of the victims of COVID-19, right? Because the reality of the situation is that there's less sort of distraction and interruption. You certainly have less room to get away from your partner. And that can be a real challenge. So, what happens to those that are really struggling and you are quarantined at home with each other with nowhere to go? I think that some of the important things to remember are that you need to be able to focus on the fact that you have an opportunity now. And I know it doesn't feel like that if you're super getting on each other's nerves and are being really annoyed and are frankly thinking this is the demise of my relationship. This has made it super clear to me that we don't belong together. I want you to know that I do deeply believe pretty much everything is fixable. I think that for many people, it does not have to be a situation where there is something to, you know, run away from. Um, I think some really important and good tips that you can be using is, and they're probably not necessarily things that you haven't heard before, but I offer one of the important things that I like to always make sure people understand is that just because the outcome has been a certain way in the past does not mean that it has to be that way again. So whether you are placing yourself and your current relationship into a framework and being filtered through an experience of a past relationship, and you feel like, oh no, I hit this place before in my last marriage or my last relationship, and so this is, this is the end. That it was the end before, so this is what the end looks like this time. I want you to remember that you're different. Your partner is different than your last partner. This time has its own ending. You are not trapped by what has happened in the past. Yes, sometimes a past can be a predictor, but it doesn't have to be. And if you don't allow yourself the openness and the space to be able to have a different perception of it, to have a different outcome and a different experience this time around, then you're right. You are doomed. You might as well just try and figure out how to move out in the middle of a pandemic because it'll go nowhere. So my first tip is that you have to take yourself out of the past experiences, even if it's a past experience with this partner. You have to say, just because that happened before, it doesn't have to be that way this time around. He's different. She's different. I'm different. It can be different. So start there. Start by allowing yourself to become unattached to what the outcome can be based on past experience. A second tip that I would like to offer, sort of the next way to move into it, and this is one that you have undoubtedly heard plenty of times before, is to find a way to talk about this, to talk about the reoccurring issue, the issue that never seems to be able to get resolved, in a space and setting where you're not already upset. And set ground rules. Set ground rules with it at that time and say, hey, we know when we hit the 20, 30-minute mark, we're probably frustrated and annoyed and we're going to need a break. So how about we sit down, and when one of us, if you start to feel particularly triggered or annoyed or frustrated and need a break, let's right now up front agree that we're going to take a break at 15 or 20 minutes if we both feel like we need it. So it's about establishing some other important rules. It's about understanding that we're going to sit down this time and we're going to talk about it when we're not in the heat of the moment. And so we're going to try our best to only describe how we are feeling and why we think we're feeling that. That is not relative to the other person's behaviors. So I don't want to hear about it made me feel because you did this. No. It made me feel because I have had experiences that ended up like this. It made me feel because this is one of the ways that I'm triggered by a childhood dynamic. It made me feel less than, small, unheard, unseen, because in the past, when somebody said that same thing or did that same thing, they really weren't hearing or seeing me, right? These are just examples. But the reality is that you need to set that as a groundwork and that as a ground rule, and that has to be your framework of this conversation. It has to be about keeping it solely on yourself. So when something comes out of your mouth, I know it's like the opposite of everything we think we should do, right? But when something comes out of your mouth to share with your partner, it needs to be an I statement. It needs to be, I felt this way because I did this in the past. I had this experience in the past. It is not about them. It is about you taking ownership and responsibility for your feelings and then allowing them to respond with the same, and this is something that you've heard plenty of times before, with the, okay, so let me recap. I think I hear you say. And then after that, you have to figure out, does somebody need to apologize? Do you both need to apologize? Okay, we've cleared it up. We've gotten it out. Now what? How do we make sure, because you can't really fix it. You can't walk back what already has been said or what already happened. But we can do our very best and commit to each other that we will do our very best to not do this again, or at least not do it the exact same way or to this degree at this same level. So what are the things that we can do to stop this from happening again, right? And each of you make commitments. Again, you must have ownership and responsibility for yourself. So what are you going to do to be able to like nip it in the bud or bring it up then, to not have such an emotional reaction to it, whatever? Pick one small thing that you can do differently if you start to feel that way again by something that is being triggered that's coming at you from your partner, right? And then if you're the partner person in this round, then what are you as a partner going to try and do based on what you've heard and how you've interpreted it? What are you going to do? What's going to be your at least one small step to try and help avoid this so you're not triggering your partner again? This is a quick and basic framework for dealing with conflict. And like I said, at this point in time, when you're in quarantine with each other, I assure you, probably it's not even about the little everyday new bickery things. You are entrenched and dug into things that are constantly resurfacing. It's the same party that she got too drunk at, or whatever the situation is, right? It's the same root issue again and again and again. That's what's coming up for you right now. That's what's coming up for most couples that I'm hearing from, and people in relationships that I'm hearing from that are quarantined together. So that's the down and dirty, the quick framework for being able to work through that reoccurring entrenched pattern cycle issue that is causing so much trouble for you while you are stuck at home together. If you have questions, if you would like to reach out, the best way to do that is to find me on Facebook or on Instagram and direct message me. I'm at Sierra Intuitively Knows. Sierra has one R. And I'm happy to help field whatever I can from you all. I look forward to it, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy.